Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is George Brooks, and good morning, my name is George Brooks, and I am from Phoenix, Arizona. My company's name is Next Horizon. The title is Aquaponics and Victory Gardens, a sustainable solution to food insecurity. Now, this particular project is a little different than many. It's not about how to refine aquaponics. It's about how can we take what we have and use it to make a better city, use it to make a better society, use it to solve problems that are endemic to everything that we do. And about 15 months ago, we all woke up to a very surprising problem that I had a chance to look at using my company funds. I didn't have much time to do it, but I brought it to you here because I thought that the results you would find interesting. So we woke up to that America had a hunger problem caused by the recession and pandemic. The food chains were broken. You couldn't get food where it needed to be, even though it was sitting in fields. I saw this in Houston when I visited there. It wasn't this particular food site, but they served several 100,000 pounds of food here to provide for all kinds of people. It wasn't just underserved, but the stressors were everywhere. And it was all about food. No matter if you had money or not, you could not get food. It was caused by this little ball of grease called a coronavirus. In Phoenix, it struck us particularly hard, and the city was able to respond to it by providing food from a number of sources. A number of my friends who are caterers and such. But one of the major things that we had to deal with were food deserts. The center of, where's that laser at? There we go. The center of this area is Phoenix. The rest of it is the metropolitan area. All of these green areas are food deserts according to the federal atlas. And in these areas, food insecurity was particularly difficult. Now, one of the solutions that people in the valley on their own thought were to reinitiate the Victory Gardens. If we can grow food in our backyards, maybe we can have enough to supply for our family. Now, just as a matter of history, the term Victory Garden, they were originally called war gardens for World War II and then World War I. But then during World War II, the amazing work of Dr. George Washington Carver, he wrote The Victory of Gardening, inspired the federal government to change the name from war gardens to the more appropriate, the Victory Gardens. And the idea of this interesting business model that was a success was to grow all the needed vegetables and perhaps chickens in your backyard for a family. And in 1945, 20 million families grew 40% of the food in the U.S. Then that was 8 million tons. And that turned out to be about 800 pounds per family. Now that 800-pound number was kind of serendipitous, because if you look at current food consumption, the average for Americans is 1,996 pounds per person. Let's say 2,000. It's very similar to what we can actually grow in our backyards in Phoenix, including vegetables, fruit, chickens, eggs, and now fish, of course, which is about 811 pounds if you add up the percentages inside of this total diet. Or you can grow about 40% of all your food for one person or a family in your backyard if you have the land, and land was the issue. People wanted to do Victory Gardens again. They wanted to be like we see here in Zurich, where you have a farm in your backyard. But back in 1945, everyone had several thousand square feet to work with. The farm you see in this picture, which is from the Victory Garden era, is talking about 1,250. But it takes somewhere between 1,700 and 2,500 square feet to grow about 800 pounds of food over a growing season. Now, I live in Phoenix, Arizona, according to the new census, the fastest growing city in the United States. also the 5th largest city in the United States. And because of that, no one has 2,000 square feet. They have more like this. This is a more typical backyard in Phoenix, Arizona. So with maybe, if you're lucky, 400 square feet of land that could be anywhere near arable, or about a 20 by 20 space. So I wanted to find a picture of what 800 pounds of vegetables would look like trying to grow it in a 20 by 20 space. I couldn't find a photo, so I give you a cow instead. So as you can imagine, trying to produce a cow in a space this size in your backyard, you can see the challenges. And looking at all the statistics, maybe if you're a good backyard farmer, you're going to get between 200 and 300 pounds of mixed-use vegetables from watermelons and peppers and maybe some chickens if you have enough space. So the question is there any way to actually reinvigorate the Victory Garden model with 800 pounds from a current backyard within the Phoenix metropolitan area? Now, I decided I got to give this a try. I got no time to put it together, get funny, I'll just do it myself. So I'm using a methodology that I presented to you back in 2019 in this venue. We took these kiddie pools that are readily available around Phoenix. Easy to buy, 10 foot by 7 foot. They cost about $88 back then. We applied a recirculation system inside of it very similar to the impound raceway system of the South. A huge thing, we condensed it down all into the 70 square feet, because I did that. And it actually provided us a very nice little deep water culture growing system. And within it, we were able to grow a wide variety of crops of several different kinds of lettuces and eggplants and tomatoes and melons and all kinds of things. And we were able to get, I was able to get a consistent rate of production of somewhere between 300 and 400 pounds per growing season out of this space. And of course, it provided you about 20 pounds of fish. Now, in my particular viewpoint, fish are not just there to provide fertilizer. If you're going to put all that money into them, they're going to be a problem. And so these came out of that system with about 20 pounds of tilapia, averaging about a pound in size. And they could have gotten bigger, but something happened. Now, this was a 70 square foot pool. The total working space around that pool was 108 square feet. So therefore, if you have 400 square feet and you have 108 square feet of working area, that means that you can have 3.7 of these units. Now, naturally, you can't have 0.7 units, so humor me on the statistics here, okay? So, well, what happened? Well, we kind of underperformed. Instead of getting 400 pounds, we got 271 pounds, including 20 pounds of fish over 200 days. What happened? Well, climate change hit us. And with now weeks of 118-degree temperatures, which we were not prepared for. We did not have a sunscreen over this, as I should have done if I had thought that we were going to have those temperatures. The year beforehand, we had no issues such as that. 118 one day and then fine the next. A week of 118-degree temperatures, and it killed most of the vines. But with the results that we got, this is good science here, with the results that we got, those 3.7 units would have produced within that 400 square foot space 1,002 pounds of food, which would allow us to reproduce, reactivate, reinvigorate the classic Victory Garden concept. Once again, using a Phoenix backyard instead of a 2,000 square foot backyard of 1945. And that may have some influence about how we can grow food in urban areas, at least in Phoenix, Arizona. So can we do this? The answer is yes. The question is, this was done within the Victory Garden business model. And so if we take that business model to its fruition, how can we make it actually economically viable within urban areas, in this case, specifically Phoenix, Arizona? And we're going to talk about that issue in just a few minutes. Any questions here? No pause, nothing? It's just gonna stop me. Okay, look.
Yes,
sir.
Save it for the next one.
Save
Yes,
the
sir.
next one.
No,
Very good.
yeah.
Fine, you're in Phoenix, that works. What would it take, how much would it alter the construction of that or the space requirements of that if you had to put a cover over that? I mean, and I'm talking about a full cover to bring it to someplace like the Northeast or somewhere where you're going to have a colder season.
Though, I can only hypothesize with that.
That's all I'm asking.
And firstly, construction materials are so readily available. We can build one of these things in 3 hours. From start to finish. Building the rest, everything is done in 3 hours. These were all over Phoenix. I went to Chicago with to see my wife's relatives, and someone had one of these pools in their backyard right next to our cousin's house, full of green water growing mosquitoes. And that's what we wanted to change. Since we got them, I can't be converted them to aquaponics to grow some food. I'm now exploring how much it would cost to put a cover over it, particularly since they're basically sails. And so we have enormous dust storms, and if you don't anchor it properly, it'll be somewhere in the next state in the next day. So we're looking at all of the prices, and then we have the import issues. These pools are largely made overseas, and because of the high prices we now have to ship things in, we have a pool that I bought right before the pandemic sitting on my back porch. It cost me $88 at Amazon. The same pool today costs $250. And so that has raised the overall cost of putting one of these together from maybe $500 to $600 now to $1,000. And then you add the cover on top of it, that adds more. But it's still significantly cheaper than more classic methods of doing aquaponics. So all that economics needs still to be done.
Thank you.
Good job. One of the challenges up northeast too, you have to worry about either snow load and what's your R value, what's the delta T difference.
Mm-hmm.